All right, let's dive into one of the most fundamental ideas in all of biology, the flow of energy that actually powers every single living thing on our planet.
So, have you ever stopped to wonder why, no matter where you look, a forest, a grassland, even the ocean, it's always built on a massive foundation of plants with way fewer predators at the top? It's a pattern you see everywhere. And the answer? Well, it has less to do with the animals themselves and everything to do with energy.
To really get to the bottom of that big question, we have to start with the one thing that organizes all of life, and that is energy itself.
You know, an ecosystem isn't just a static picture. It's a humming, buzzing, dynamic system. Every single thing that happens, growing, moving, reproducing, all of it is powered by energy. Without a constant stream of it coming in, the whole system would just grind to a halt. And this goes all the way down to the microscopic level. Inside every one of your cells, right now, energy is being used to fuel metabolism, repair, movement, everything. The energy that powers a whole forest starts right here, with individual cells doing work.
So how this energy moves around isn't just random. It follows a very strict set of rules. Rules that apply to the entire universe. We're talking about the laws of thermodynamics.
Okay, so the first rule is simple, but it's really profound. Ecosystems don't make energy out of nothing. They can't. They are just incredibly sophisticated energy converters. They take energy in one form and just change its costume, turning it into another.
And this is a perfect way to picture it. The sun's light, that's radiant energy, gets captured by a plant and converted into chemical energy, sugars. Then, an animal comes along, eats the plant, and transforms that chemical energy into mechanical energy so it can move around. It's the same energy, just wearing different hats. Now, for the second rule, and honestly, this one changes everything. Every single time energy is transferred, the process is sloppy. It's inefficient. A chunk of that energy is always lost as heat. You can think of it like an energy tax. Every transaction gets taxed, and that payment is lost as heat.
So, what does this energy tax mean for an ecosystem? Well, it means that with every step you take up the food chain, there's less and less usable energy available. The plants have the most, the herbivores that eat them get less, and the carnivores that eat the herbivores get even less. And that unavoidable energy loss is the direct answer to our opening question. There just isn't enough energy left at the top to support a whole lot of predators.
Okay, so we know energy flows, and a lot gets lost along the way. But how does it get into the system in the first place? Let's trace it all the way back to the source.
I mean, it's no surprise, right? The ultimate power source for almost all life on Earth is the sun. But what's really wild is that of all the solar energy that hits our planet, most of it just bounces off or turns into heat. Only a tiny fraction is actually captured and used by living things. And the organisms that perform this incredible magic trick, we call them autotrophs, or more commonly, producers. These guys are the gatekeepers. They are the crucial entry point for almost all energy into the biological world. Without them, there's no food web, period. And of course, the most famous of these conversion processes is photosynthesis. And it's an amazing two-for-one deal for the ecosystem. It not only converts sunlight into usable energy, but it also creates the actual physical stuff, the organic matter that everything else is built from. Now, scientists can actually measure this. The total amount of energy that all the producers in an ecosystem manage to capture is called gross primary productivity, or GPP. Think of this as the ecosystem's total annual income. But hold on, the plants and algae have their own bills to pay, right? They have to live, grow, and repair their own tissues. So they immediately turn around and spend a big chunk of that energy they just captured on their own life processes, a process called respiration. This is the perfect analogy for it. GPP is like the gross salary on your paycheck, the big number at the top. But net primary productivity, or NPP, that's your take-home pay. It's what's actually left after all the plant's own expenses, like respiration, have been paid.
So the math is really simple. NPP is just GPP minus the energy used for respiration. And this number, this NPP, is what really matters. It's the amount of energy that's actually available to build the entire rest of the ecosystem.
So now that we've got the energy budget for producers figured out, let's zoom the camera all the way out and see how this whole energy accounting shapes life across the entire planet. And what you see right away is that NPP isn't the same everywhere, not even close.
A tropical rainforest with tons of sun, water, and nutrients has a massive NPP. It's incredibly productive. But a desert? Very low NPP, because conditions are so tough. This difference in available energy is exactly why rainforests are bursting with life and deserts are so sparse.
And this brings us to maybe the single most important takeaway of this whole thing. Matter, things like carbon, water, nitrogen, it gets recycled. It goes around and around. But energy? Energy flows. It makes a one-way trip through the ecosystem until eventually it's all gone, lost as heat.
And because that energy is constantly being used up and lost, the whole system would collapse without a constant refill from an outside source. For us, and for most life on Earth, that source is the sun. Every single day, the sun has to reboot the planet's ecosystems all over again.
It's best summed up with this powerful idea. Life persists because energy continuously flows through ecosystems. It's not a static thing. It's a process, a constant state of becoming, all powered by this relentless, one-way stream of energy.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Our entire biosphere is balanced on this constant, fragile stream of energy from the sun. So what happens when that flow gets disrupted? What happens when the producers at the very start of the chain are damaged? It's a question that really reminds us just how interconnected and delicate these amazing systems truly are. Thanks for watching.